Hello, SuperCoaches. The teams are in for round 15. It is the second big buy round of the year. We've got a huge panel. The SuperCoach Experience guys are here. I'll start with you, Tim Moodie, former champ. How many numbers do you have on the field this week?
Numbers for this week, a total of 16. 13 of them are sort of reliable, and 9 of them are out-and-out guns that I can really count on. So should be a good round this week, I think.
Yeah, you should see a big boost. Of course, for those watching at home, it's only best 13 this week. So the former champ has 16, and the best 13 will come out of that.
A few dodgy ones like Tui Simpkins, Sandon Smith coming off the bench, Lawson, who didn't really light it up last week as well. So yeah, don't be too intimidated by my numbers.
Brandon Savage, are we going to be intimidated by your numbers this week?
I've got 17. It feels like a week.
17?
Yeah, it feels like a week where a lot of people are going to have similar numbers because there's a lot of popular guys that I have that a lot of other people will have. Koloamatangi missed out on Origin, so we've got him as a number this week. But yeah, 17, could be 18. I'm tossing up between the idea of getting in Jerome Hughes or Daly Cherry Evans, so I'm at a bit of a crossroads there.
We'll get to both of those later on. For me, it's 14 at the moment, but I'm feeling a little bit inadequate.
They're rookie numbers, mate. You're going to have to bump those numbers up.
Only 13 count, mate, so it's all good.
I have to pull out the QR code. Big day on the teams. What's your biggest team takeaway?
Sandon Smith to the bench. I was kind of looking at him as my gun hooker for the rest of the season, someone that I could rely on with a bit of upside with kicking goals, and a bit unpredictable with his attack. Could have gone good there, but it looks like that's going to be a no-go. And my other guy, Wade Egan, I'm not really happy with him, so I don't know what to do with them going forward, but just I guess he'll play him this week and take whatever points he gets. Yeah,
hooker's a tough spot, and the story there is that Savala has retained a spot in the 17, or in the halves rather, at 5'8". Sam Walker comes in at halfback.
I think it's his kicking game alone that's so good that's you can't really leave him out.
It'd be interesting to see if when Connor Watson returns to that team, whether that's affected Sandon Smith going to the bench.
A lot of moving pieces. I think Sandon, for me, was locked in as a backup hooker for the rest of the year. Now that's out the window. I think we nearly got rid of him soon. Got to get rid of him soon because he's at a good price. Got a decent BE, so we'll have to wait and see.
It's tough because I don't want to play really either of my hookers going forward, but I don't really want to make 2 moves there either. Yeah. So one of them I might free up cash and rely on the other one for the rest of the year, or maybe I just upgrade one and then just hold the other one there. I don't really want to make 2 moves. That seems a bit chaotic with my trades left.
Savs, you've kept your team takeaway secret from us. So can you spill the beans now?
It's never a secret with this guy, Tom Trbojevic, named at fullback this week. I think I held Tom Trbojevic the last 2 weeks, and I was a bit concerned that maybe Lehigh kept that position over him and he moved back to the centres and it would have been a disaster, but that hasn't happened yet, and I'm expecting big things from him over the next few weeks.
Huge. Yeah, for me it's Koloamatangi. So he has been named in the extended squad for the Blues, but he will get released. We have word from New South Wales camp that he will get released to play for South this weekend, which is obviously massive for SuperCoach because he's coming off 3 tons in a row and he's been sensational. Potential captaincy option this week as well. SuperCoach Plus, $29.95 for the year.
Discount.
It definitely hasn't been discounted. $29.95 for the year. And there's an inbuilt buy planner in there as well. So you can check out how many are on this week, plus next week, which I think is a really sneaky, tough buy round. Because best 17, plus I don't think any Origin players will be backing up because of the massive travel from Perth. So you really have to look at next week, probably more than this week. I think it'll be a bigger moving week next week than it is this week. Sharks v the Dragons. The other guys will go through. Kyle Iro, obviously injured. Tino has a sternum injury that he's taken into Origin camp. So could you go early and sell him, get ahead of the pack? Tom Trbojevic is back. Fletcher Sharp at fullback. Nafahu White is back. Lachlan Galvin into the starting team. We'll go to the Sharks v Dragons first. Kyle Iro, as I mentioned, out with a pectoral injury. We don't know how long he's out for. They have said that an injury update will be revealed in due course. So we've got no idea, but that sounds kind of long term. Yeah, it sounds kind of long term. Maybe surgery. I don't know. Anyway, he's a sell.
Yeah, I think he would be too. It's unlucky for people who picked him up. I was really tossing up him or Farnworth 2 weeks ago, and yeah, it would have been tragedy having lost Lehigh as well just last week. So I'm sure there's people out there that have copped a bit of carnage. Thoughts go out to you.
Harrotti owners rejoice.
Yeah.
I like Harrotti in the left centre, and that has been an attacking weapon for them this year. So the left centre has scored in every matchup for them this year, so I'm very happy.
Yeah, nice. Much better than him being on the wing, that's for sure. Dragons. So Nathan Lawson is the most popular cheapie this week. Only 19 points on the weekend, but Tim, we were just chatting before. The Dragons got absolutely smashed. 19 probably isn't too bad when you take into account that he had 8 points taken off through errors, etc. He is the cheapie of the week. I wouldn't be going anywhere else for a cheapie. It's not like he's the best cheapie ever, but if you need to free up cash, he's the man. Yeah,
I felt like it's a bit of an awkward trade now, even this week, because you've got that role when that 21 stays in there. I'm not too confident he will make too much more money, and I don't know how long he's going to stay in the side. I guess the Tui Pelotu getting injured, I don't know how long he's out for, could help his cause in staying there, but they do have a lot of other backup guys as well. So I reckon if you can maybe avoid, jumped on last week early, but it was really reluctantly. There seems like a lot of other ways you could free up cash now, especially at hooker with potentially one of your Sandon. I wish I could have been able to do that last week, especially with Wade Egan getting ruled out in my side. Found out that the day after though. But yeah, I'd be avoiding Lawson potentially if you can, because I feel like he could be someone that just stays in your side that you can't get rid of, and you might want to use that spot. Centre wing's pretty gun. Yeah,
he's definitely a reluctant buy for me, but I need to find cash somewhere.
Don't do it, but if you find another way, maybe.
He's the guy. Are you getting him in?
I'm not. I think there's other ways to free up cash, as you said. I think Nathan Cleary to Jerome Hughes or Daly Cherry Evans this week, that's saved you 300k there. And I think this is the kind of year where I want to have 7 playable guys in my centre wing. I don't want enough. I've got 2 nuffs in my side already in Royce Hunt and Charlie Geimer, so I'm pretty happy to stack the centres.
Toby Couchman, any love for him? Did you bring him in?
I think any other year would be great, but I just think there's too many other gun second rowers, front rowers, and with the duels, I just no way I could find a spot for him in my side.
Agree.
Yeah, I'd actually prefer him at prop, even though he plays bigger minutes on the edge. So it's a no for me, but he has been a decent pod this season. Titans v the Sea Eagles. At the Titans, I did mention, obviously Tino's out. He is in Queensland camp. But he does have a sternum injury. So could you get ahead of the crowd by selling Tino this week? He wasn't going to back up from Origin anyway. He certainly won't now, given that he's carrying a sternum injury. Plus, then he's missing 18 as well. Has he done his best for this season? Sternum injuries, we know, can be extremely painful. Is he going to get needled every game? It's crossed my mind to sell Tino this week. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think if you can make things work and it's a trade you want to do and you can facilitate for it. So, for example, you sell Tino and you get Teddy into your side. Yep. I think that's a perfect trade for you. But if you can only go to a front rower, which that's in my case this week, there's no front rowers really available that I really want to buy this week. So I'd probably pass on that. But to anyone else that you want in your side, I think
a lot of teams will be able to make it with the flex, the Lucas, the Clark, the Hawes, but there's a lot of duels you can end up moving things up. Yeah, you could be able to do that. I haven't owned him all year, so the more people that sell him, the better. It's tough watching him. I've got to try to find the right time to get him.
Bo Firmo's missed out on Queensland selection, so that's huge news for Sangster's Paradise. Jaden Campbell, any love for him? So only 27 points on the weekend, but we were looking at his stats just before from 2024 and this year. He's actually pretty damn consistent.
Does have a lot of 30s and 40s, and they can sort of group up. I noticed when we looked at it last year, there was like maybe 100, then a bunch of 30s, another 100, and like a few 40s. So, yeah, I don't know. For me, he's a bit of a yo-yo. Like those big ones kind of get offset by the lower ones, and I kind of prefer the guy that sort of sits in the middle a bit more. But he's very tempting, depending on the draw. Not for me though at the moment.
I like him with Foran in the side. I think Foran takes a lot of that game management away from him, and unlike when Brimson was his halves partner, he was having to think about that sort of game management style. He can kind of run free, play his natural game and just play natural footy, whereas before with Brimson, he had to think too much and he was setting up for the next play. Now he can just play eyes up, and I like him. He's a good goal kicker too, which is a bonus.
When he's on, and it'll be massive scores. And even if you do get those like lower ones, like the 27 last week, more weeks than often, that'll hopefully drop out with your flex.
With your flex, yep, true.
So if you want to go for the upside, go for it.
So, Savs, this is your chance to talk about DCE, given that he's missed out on the Origin team. I just want to point out that you look at this Sea Eagles team. It is Origin time, but they have Turbo playing for them, Gerbo, DCE and Hamole. The news on Hamole is that he asked not to get named for the Blues because his wife's going into labour, but he will play this weekend. So,
Huge.
Interesting team here for the Sea Eagles. DCE, I'll let you take the floor on him.
DCE, he's always someone we look at this time of year, which is strange because it's the Origin period, but he's someone this time of year that just goes on a run. They have a really good run. He's at his price because of how poor he's been SuperCoach-wise. He hasn't been kind of interested, but I think that Queensland snubbing is going to be the final straw in the hat, or whatever you call it, that really kicks him into gear this year. I think there's been signs that he's about to explode. Yeah. I haven't quite seen it yet, but I've seen little signs here and there that suggest to me that he's about to explode. Turbo back in the side, he's best attacking mate partner. Yeah. I love it.
So the price is what, $4.60, which is
very good price.
Very cheap for him.
I really feel like if you're going to go one or the other, I prefer Hughes. I know Hughes doesn't play this week, but you can either do it this week, have him available for next week, or you can just wait till next week. If you're going to go one or the other, for me it's Hughes. You can just see one scored 130 last week, the other scored 30. I know you can't just repeat last week's scores, but DCE, before going into last week, they put up a stat saying he's had 13 try assists, and I think 10 of them were from kicks. Yep. So that's also limits the way he's been getting his points too. But Jerome Hughes is running games through the roof. I just prefer him a lot more. It's 130k more, so that's probably the way I'm going to go.
23 try assists. 13 of them will kicks.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Right,
sorry.
The fact checker is in the house. On to Lehigh Hopewadi. So he's the third most popular sell. He's out this week due to concussion, and they have the bye next round. So I think he is a sell. The Knights v the Roosters. So Fletcher Sharp, he's at fullback with Ponga on Origin duty. The last time he played fullback, he cracked out a big ton for me. So I'm liking him in this position.
Yeah. I like him. I don't have him. Not a purchase for me, but a good hold.
Yeah, I like him. I feel like he's just like a dice. You roll him each week. You don't know what you're going to get, and sometimes it's a big six, and you get excited. Sometimes it's not a big one, but you'll take it. I feel like he's running games through the roof. It's so exciting. You don't know when he's going to score, which set it's going to be. Yeah, loving him.
So many tackle busts and a lot of runs in there too. So
he's heaps of tackles too for a...
and so his floor is actually really good.
Not a fullback this week, maybe not so many tackles, but when he's a 5'8".
On to the Roosters. So obviously the big news here is that Sandon Smith has been dropped to the bench. So we all agree that he's a sell.
Probably the way it looks. I mean the way it looks, the forecast looks like it is. Yeah, with Walker coming back and... Yeah, it seems like that's the way they're going to go with things.
Won't kick goals with Walker back too, is the other mail that Rob Sutherland told me before.
Yeah. Savala had been...
Savala I was selling before. Like I actually had... Sorry, you go.
Does that mean Sam Walker's going to kick goals?
Yes, that's what Rob was telling me today, although that's just from what Rob was saying. How much is he? I haven't actually...
I'm going to dive into him, but Isaiah Katoa's there too. There's a few half options.
Who?
Isaiah Katoa.
In the halves.
For the Roosters?
Not for the Roosters.
We're talking about half.
Imagine that.
Oh, yeah.
DCE's going to be there next year too. They're going to have 4 great halfbacks.
Yeah.
Nafahu White is back, which is huge news, an extra number for a lot of people. And then, of course, the big purchase this week, James Tedesco. A lot of people are bringing him in. It's a pretty good price for him. He's 80k less than his peak price this year. You're going to bring him in?
Yeah, I was tossing up between him and Turbo a couple of weeks ago, just get the price, but just with all the lingering Turbo in and out every couple of weeks, I'm just going to go with the premium guy and hope to ride him through the year and not have to move him.
Yeah, I've owned him for a while. I paid a premium for him, but I'm happy for it. I just look at my fullback position now and I don't want to touch it. I'm just going to sit back. That's it for the rest of the year with like him, Drinkwater, Pappenhausen. I'm pretty happy. If there are injuries, there are injuries. Speaking of Drinkwater, Cowboys v Dolphins is the next clash. Drinkwater is the third most popular purchase this week. He doesn't have a buy until round 27, so the best buy schedule of any team in the comp.
Yeah, he's really good, and if you don't have him, I'd be scared this week. He averages a lot more with Jake Clifford in the side compared to what Tom Dearden and Jackson Purdue in the halves. But only a small sample size there, but Jake Clifford in particular is someone who he averages a lot more in the side with, and I think he's going to have his hands on the ball every set this week, so I'm excited to have him this week.
Same.
I've owned him for a while, so I'm pretty happy with Drinkwater. And he's at a good price this week if you want to bring him in, because he had that 14 a few weeks ago, which we know can happen with Drinkwater. But yeah, he's a good chance for a ton this weekend. They've got Dearden, Nanai, Reece Robson and Ruben Cotter out through Origin. At the Dolphins, Hamaso Tabuai-Fidow is the only guy out through Origin. But they've lost Max Plath, who could have done his ACL. That's big news for them. Plus Daniel Saifiti out for the season with a shoulder injury. So they've really been torn apart.
Yeah, that's rough for them. I was looking at Max Plath last night as a potential buy because he'll be below 400k very soon. Yeah. So that's a next year conversation now.
Jermaine Osako, any love for him? He's very popular. Coming off a big ton, kicks goals. I know Frank over here, he's pretty keen on him. What are you thinking?
I like him. I looked at his numbers the other day, and his lowest score, round 3, 4 and 5, he had 30s, and since then, his lowest score is like 55. He's had 2 tons and multiple scores over 80. I think the post-Wayne Bennett era has been a success so far with Christian Wolf, and I think Osako is somewhat back.
Yeah, I'm a bit torn on him. Like, he hasn't really been on my radar until he put up that big one last week. And like Saz said, after looking at the scores, they were more impressive than what I had imagined. But centre wings there's a lot of guns now, and it's another one of those ones that's sort of hard to fit them all in. But yeah, he could be a great pod. I don't think I could find a spot for him though in my side.
Rabbitohs v the Doggies is the last game of the round. If you missed the start of the show, I did mention that Keaon Koloamatangi has been named and he will get released from the New South Wales squad. So you can lock him in. Potential captaincy option in the last game of the round too, although I'll be going with 2 fullbacks this week.
Tommy
Turbo. No, definitely not Tommy. Drink Teddy into Drinkwater.
Yeah,
I think I'll be doing. Cody Walker, so he's down to 350k. He was actually looking okay on the weekend, and then coming back from a calf injury, then did his groin straight after that. So, ouch for him.
Yeah, that's tough. I was looking at him, but I think is Cody Walker in SuperCoach? Is he done?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
it's sad. He
could be available for 300k in round 20. So.
Yeah. Maybe next year.
He's basically retired. On to the Doggies. So Galvin is starting after his nice little cameo over the weekend. They got Origin guys out, but the guy I want to point out is that Matt Burton is the 18th man for New South Wales, so he will stay in camp over in Perth. He won't be able to play this weekend, which is why Galvin comes into the team. Any love for Galvin at all as a SuperCoach purchase down the track?
I think down the track it could be an interesting thing because the Dogs are a great side, and I think he's just going to add that attack to it. You can just see in the last 20 minutes they sort of come to life, and I felt like the backs really sort of opened up even more. But yeah, maybe just coming back because he's sort of filling in that spot for Burton. We'll just see how does he go straight back into that, stay in the halves, or do they sort of have him coming off the bench? I'm not too sure how it will work in the short term, but long term you'd think they'd get him in the starting side. Yeah,
it's interesting for draft because I own Lachlan Galvin, so I liked him playing. I also own Reid Marnie, who was actually the guy who got dropped out of the team, or dropped out during the game.
He's got plan A, B and C, and he only used plan B, so maybe you don't know the moving parts that might still come with B and A and C next week.
On to Jacob Preston. Any love for him? Back from suspension. He's averaging mid-70s this year. They do have the bye next round.
Good player, but I think SuperCoach-wise, I haven't been interested from the start. I think there's just a lot more attractive options in my eyes. but I could be seeing it wrong, to be honest.
Yeah, I always kind of like him, but haven't been able to find a spot for him. But again, with just the Galvin thing, I really feel like that could help as well. It's still a good thing. I just don't know that I could fit him in. There's so many guns in that spot.
He averaged more when Kickout was out of the side and he played the left. He will be playing right with Kickout in the side, but with Galvin potentially playing that right side. He won't this week, but
going forward,
Galvin will play right. Galvin built up this really good combination with Samuel Afinu, so maybe that's something to look forward to.
On to Jacob Carraz, so most popular purchase this week. I really want to get him in. Scored 90 on the weekend with no big attacking stats. The offloads galore. I love him, but he's got the bye next week, and I've looked at my squad. I've used SuperCoach Plus, $29.95 for the year, to check out my numbers for next week. I've only got a bare 17, assuming that all my Origin guys don't back up, which is a fair assumption given the travel. Certainly Nathan Cleary won't back up. He has to go from Perth to New Zealand, so he's no chance to back up. My point being that if you bring in Carraz this week, he has to buy next round, and next round is a sneaky tough round. I think that's the big moving week. Not this week, next week is the big one to look forward to. So in my team situation, I can't fit Carraz in just due to the bye schedule, but I really want to get him in after that bye, so I'll be looking to get him in for 17.
I don't think you need to buy him. Moving into centre, I don't think he's going to get a must-have score this week. But that being said, like, you're running a Jack Whiten as well, who defensively is very strong. But that being said, I'm looking at my options, and I assume a lot of people in similar positions. You're probably better off locking in the person that you want to get for the rest of the year now, rather than going in a different direction that you're going to have to trade out later. So I think that's the avenue I'm going to go down.
Yeah, I got him in last week just because I wanted to get Teddy this week, and I just wasn't able to make it all work this week. So, yeah, and pretty happy about it. 90 points without that try. It could be anything when he starts.
So good, eh?
And when Galvin gets back into that side, I just felt like the ball was going to just start singing out there. We just needed more time. If there was another 10 minutes, he would have scored another try or two, I reckon.
Vossi was saying it too.
But he loves his SuperCoach, doesn't he? He's always adding up the scores in his head.
He had a funny little call on the weekend about it too. I can't remember what it was.
So the teams on the buys. We've got 7 teams on the buys. I'll just bring up some popular players, some popular sells from those teams. Isaiah Ayongi, I think he's done his job. Get rid of him. Do we agree?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
On to Nathan Cleary. So is he a sell? I'm holding on. I can't bring myself to do it. But you guys seem to be leaning towards selling Cleary, given that he misses this week, he misses next week, he certainly misses 18.
You'll probably only play one of the next 4 weeks.
One of the next 4, potentially one of the next 5, considering backing up after round 18. And that one game he does play is against the Dogs. So,
tough.
So it's not like you're going to get a 150 score from him, because the Dogs are just not leaking that this year. So
I don't think it's a must. So you can definitely stash him away. He just might be the right guy. For me, it's going to free up enough cash to make the move I want to make without causing too much other carnage to my side. I feel like I can get Cleary back in just one extra trade. And the guy that I'm going to bring in, I think is going to score well in that time. So, yeah.
Tamale, obviously out for 2 to 3 months, we're being told, at least, with that dislocated kneecap, I believe it was, in the end.
Like a looking pain, didn't he? Smacking the ground.
Yeah, so he is one of the most popular sells. Cameron Munster, also a pretty popular sell. Similar story to Cleary with all these Origin games coming up, backups, etc. You could go him to, let's say, Jaden Campbell, whoever it happens to be. Would you recommend a trade like that?
I feel like there's no one else in the position screaming out must-have. I think if you can make 100, 150k and it facilitates other trades, then go for it, which you probably can. But
I don't think it would be 150k. Like Jaden Campbell's about lost a little bit more, 700k before.
Yeah. He's in the 6s, I know that.
So maybe. You're making 75k watt max or something. So yeah, I'd probably hold on to him, to be honest. Like, if
he scored bigger, had a bigger score, it'd be more enticing. I think a lot of people sort of had that marked, the Munster to Campbell. But just the fact he's got that lower one in there, it's going to probably leak a little bit more cash. And
tell you what, to Galvin though, 260k to Galvin. If you want to take a flyer on Galvin, I think that's probably the play.
Yep. Huge. And then finally, a lot of people are jumping the gun on Jerome Hughes and Eli Katoa. You guys are all over that?
Yep. Jumped on Eli Katoa last week, very happy.
Yeah.
We've had Eli Katoa for a lot longer than him. Heaps happy about it.
Right, well, that is it for our team's podcast. Massive podcast today. We'll catch you tomorrow for the preview podcast. See you then.